Transmitting on the Star Times platform 24 hours.
Àwọn onímọ̀ nípa ètò ẹ̀kọ́ lórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà.
Hukumar tara kudaden haraji ta ƙasa.
Alanye na ọchịchị mba United Arab Emirates UAE.
The only channel that speaks your language.
Anyị ga-eweta akụkọ gbasara ọrịa ahụ nke wakporo obodo anyị.
Kálejì, mo kọ́kùnrin, mo kóbìnrin, mo kí ọmọdé, mo sì kí àgbàlagbà.
Mu yi kokari mu sauke nauyin alƙawarin da muka ɗauka.
Ẹ kú lẹ́yìn tèmi, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa ètò yín ètò obìnrin tó dángájá.
Wa ya fi cancanta a ɗauka a matsayin ɗan aikin cikin gida.
Jama'a
masu kallon tashar NTA Hausa, barkamu da warhaka.
Kí ni ayẹyẹ ọdún iléyá tá máa ń ṣe lọ́dọọdún yìí rọ̀ mọ́?
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
For over 25 years, I have been privileged to anchor various programs on television.
It's very, very clear that this issue is not about crisis between Hausa community and Yoruba community in Ife.
National security and stability takes center stage at Aso Rock Villa.
What the judge did this morning was expected, we thought so also.
Drew High Court sets aside Malibu oil acquisition. Also tonight, internally displaced persons camp in Konduga local government area of Borno State burnt by fire. And final rites of passage for late Dr. Samuel Ugbemudia. A very good evening and thanks for joining us on the NTA Network News for tonight. I am Fomi Wakama. President Muhammadu Buhari this Friday engaged critical stakeholders in the Secure Nigeria project as he devoted attention to national security and stability. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Those granted audience separately by President Muhammadu Buhari for briefing on national security include the National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Monguno, and the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olonishakin. Details of their discussions held behind closed doors were not made public, but NTA News gathered that the mop-up operations against the Boko Haram insurgents and other challenges of security took center stage. The Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dambazo, who was also in the State House, briefed journalists on the outcome of his fact-finding visit to Osun State in respect of the recent crisis in Ile-Ife, which resulted in the loss of lives and property.
It's very, very clear that this issue is not about crisis between Hausa community and Yoruba community in Ife. It's about a couple of bunch of people who constitute themselves nuisance to carry out the Dastardly Act, and quite a number of them escaped from the community. So we made them understand that they shouldn't look at it from the point of view of ethnicity, and they all agreed. And the issue of revenge reprisals shouldn't come to anybody's mind because the government is handling the situation. Those who are found to have been involved to deliberately attack people, take lives, and destroy properties will be dealt with in accordance with the law.
During the visit, the minister held discussions with Osun State government officials, traditional and community leaders, as well as other stakeholders on the need to keep the peace, which he described as critical for socio-economic development. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And still on security, articulated planning, effective utilization of equipment, and efficient logistics are relevant to the success of any joint military operation. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Gabriel Olonishaki, said this in a message at the closing ceremony of the Pioneer Export Joint Operation Planning course organized by the Defense Headquarters in conjunction with the United Kingdom. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
The Nigerian Armed Forces, through joint military operations, is addressing insurgency in the northeast, piracy and militancy in the Niger Delta regions. These crimes, with both local and cross-border influence, the defense headquarters say requires a dynamic, multifaceted security approach.
The challenges we face today threaten the corporate existence of our dear nation. Fighting these challenges is a collective effort, and our success hinges on sound planning and synergy.
The week-long training with experts from the United Kingdom is geared towards upscaling the capacity of the Nigerian military in effective planning of joint military operations in view of the global dimension of emerging crime.
We were very impressed by the skills that the officers already had. I think if there was one area that there could be more development, would be in integrating military activity with civil planning.
Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Elsewhere, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the people of the oil-producing communities deserve better deal, which he says the Buhari presidency is advocating in the region. This was at an inter-ministerial follow-up meeting with relevant government ministries and departments involved in the Niger Delta. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has details.
The Vice President told the interministerial team that the meeting is to ensure that the administration is faithful to the promises and to the spirit of the presidential engagements with the people of the region. All the ministers and officials made presentations about the next steps in the process, especially on how to effectively meet the commitments and to deliver the promises made by the federal government during the interactive engagement tours led by the Vice President. Minister of State for Environment in his presentation disclosed that the ministry has now fully engaged the Ogoni Cleanup Project coordinator, Marvin Dekil, who also revealed that the potential contractors have been visiting the site to demonstrate available and suitable technology to be used for the cleanup. The Vice President also received a delegation of Western diplomats from countries involved in the oil industry in Nigeria. Vice President Osinbajo told the diplomats that the idea of the interactive engagements with the oil-producing communities resulted from President Muhammadu Buhari after he met with leaders from the region last November. The Vice President explained that the Buhari presidency is working on how to make a positive and long-lasting impact in the region in a way that transforms the lives of the people.
And stability and instability in the Niger Delta affects Nigeria, affects the region and affects the world at large. And it's been a very open, very transparent and a very illuminating meeting we had with the Vice President, as always.
It all has to do with bringing efforts towards resolution of the issues in Niger Delta. So it's an ongoing process.
The delegation was led by the Dutch envoy in Nigeria, Ambassador John Groffen, and others from United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, United States, and the European Union. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And members of the European Union and the United States, as well as Japan, have reaffirmed continued commitment to the development of Niger's Niger Delta region. This came to the fore at the end of a meeting with the Minister of Delta Affairs, Usani Nguru Usani, in Abuja. Chukununzo Nwabueze has that report.
Considering the huge natural endowment in Nigeria's Niger Delta region, it has over the years attracted global attention bordering on developmental issues. The meeting with the diplomats, which held behind closed doors, had the objective of addressing the challenges in the region with a win-win situation for Nigeria and her foreign partners in mind.
The crux of it is thinking together how the various activities for development in the region can be harmonized to give greater impact and reduce waste, and therefore achieve the purpose of government.
The Minister has outlined the needs that exist in the Niger Delta and has presented us with an overview of projects that could be supported.
A stable and a prosperous Nigeria is good for the region. And we as EU, we need stable neighbors, because if you look at the map, Nigeria is very close and West Africa is very close to Europe.
Dividends of the interaction, the parties say, will soon be evident in the Niger Delta region. From the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Abuja, Chukwunonsonwa Bueze, NTA News.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema says compensation to Nigerians who lost their property in the xenophobic attack in South Africa will be adequately looked into by that country's government. He said this while briefing the media on the outcome of the visit of the Nigerian government delegation to South Africa. Oyeyemi Ajayi was at the briefing and gives us details.
Barely 24 hours after returning from South Africa, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema briefed the media on the outcome of the visit to South Africa. He said the South African government absolutely condemns any xenophobic attack on any national residing in the country. The minister announced that no Nigerian was killed during the recent xenophobic attack. He reiterated that an early warning strategy has been agreed upon by the two countries to protect Nigerians in South Africa.
Also saw this mechanism, this early warning unit, as also being a way for Nigerians in South Africa, through their representatives, to bring to the attention of the South African government information about delinquent Nigerians in South Africa without exposing themselves.
The Minister of Interior Abdurrahman Dambazao, who was part of Nigeria's delegation to South Africa, revealed that the trans-border trafficking and other crimes such as drugs and prostitution have resulted in the conviction and imprisonment of about 400 Nigerians.
What the gaps we found out is that most of Nigerians, when they get to South Africa, they don't register with the embassy, with the commission. I know that you are there in South Africa. So we suggested that through the NUSA, Nigerian Union of South Africa, that they should come up with some form of registration, since in every of these provinces, the provinces they call them.
Provinces.
Yes, they have leadership. So the leadership in those provinces should do what it can to register all the Nigerians.
The ministers reiterated the commitment of the present administration to protect lives and property of Nigerians in and outside the country, as the interests of the country will always be put first in its relations with other countries. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
And Nigerian women joined their counterparts in New York for the 61st session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women, with calls for empowerment and active participation in politics, especially through entrenched legislation. Talatu Ezurike brings us that report.
Globally, the narratives as they relate to women include issues of poverty, low and non-inclusion in governance, and even violence. The way out is of concern for women who converge on New York. For Nigerian delegates, economic empowerment and bridging gender gaps in politics is key for advancement and attainment of the SDGs and Planet 50-50 by 2030.
Nigeria is making serious efforts to create friendly political terrain to encourage women to participate more actively in governance at all levels.
Other issues raised include the need for electoral reforms and enabling environment for women to thrive.
The Electoral Act must take into cognizance the importance of women's human rights as a fundamental right. A consensus electoral reform should be carried out to create more political space for women elected positions in direct proportion to the male candidates.
The participants believe that enhancing women's participation in politics, peace and security will help in building a strong nation. Talati Zurike, NTA News.
And turning to the judiciary, an ex parte order for the forfeiture of the controversial Malabo oil block by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has been set aside by the Federal High Court in Abuja. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okeowo tells us more.
On the 26th of January, the EFCC obtained an ex parte order to seize oil prospecting license 245 oil block, otherwise known as Malabo Oil. Just after the court finished hearing arguments on the substantive matter, Malabo Oil sought to be joined in the matter. So, at Friday's sitting, Justice John Sohu first ruled on the joinder, saying that the attempt to arrest his ruling was not known to law. He said that the application was ill-conceived, bereft of substance, and that the refusal to hear Malabo Oil will not be a denial of fair hearing. The court then proceeded to deliver its ruling on the seizure of the OPL 245, which the judge said had been ready since the 13th of March. Lawyers who stood in for the parties were not available for comment, but Mohammed Abacha volunteered comments on behalf of Malabo Oil.
What the judge did this morning was expected. We thought so also. And I think it is in line with what we witnessed.
In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has announced steps it is taking towards fully recovering over 130 million litres of petrol stored in facilities of two indigenous downstream operators, MRS Limited and Capital Oil and Gas Limited. The NNPC Chief Operating Officer, Henry Nkem Obi, at a press briefing in Abuja, stated that the corporation stored the said amount of petrol under an arrangement to ensure a robust strategic reserve. But when it intended to move the products from the facilities earlier this year to meet supply shortfall, it was discovered that there was no molecule of product to evacuate, a breach of the existing contract.
Informed the EFCC that we're in this situation and would need help to recover government assets running 2 billion of naira that the third party had taken without written and documented approval of NNPC management, as is required by the throughput arrangement we have with them. But we continue to mount pressure. We're engaging them to ensure that we recover those volumes.
So far, MRS has returned 30 million litres of petrol, while Capital Oil and Gas is yet to return 80 million litres of the missing 100 million litres valued at 11 billion naira. Henry Nkemobi also noted that 2 committees have been set up to investigate the level of involvement of its staff and apply appropriate sanctions. On the other hand, the second committee is reviewing the corporation's policy and guidelines for engaging such arrangements with third parties. And today is World Sleep Day, a day set aside to raise awareness on the importance of sleep and celebrate all that this wonderful thing about nature and way of relaxing the body, while highlighting sleep disorder and their prevention. Health correspondent Rabi Abdallah takes it from here.
World Sleep Day is observed every second Friday of March, a day some say was much needed to celebrate the power of sleep. More than 10% of the population of developed countries are said to suffer from insomnia, and every second person on earth has one or more symptoms of sleep disorder.
The right time at night to sleep is 10 p.m. It's 6 to 7 hours per day. And if it increases to 12 hours, that is not good. And if it decreases to 3 hours, it's also not good.
Studies show that the hormone melatonin starts working from after dark, when one is expected to be asleep, until 2 hours before sunrise. This is said to detoxify the body, thereby protecting it from chronic diseases such as cancer.
You didn't sleep good, you have malaria, you have typhoid, that it increases the activities of the heart.
The first World Sleep Day took place in 2008. The observance was established by the World Sleep Committee of the Association of Sleep Medicine. In Abuja, Rabi Abdallah, NTA News.
And still staying with the health sector, Justice Kanyip of the National Industrial Court in Abuja has restrained the Nigerian Union of Allied Health Professionals from embarking on strike action pending the determination of the suit filed by the Federal Ministry of Health. In his ruling, the judge said the respondent and its agents are hereby restrained from any strike action, noting that the union was put on notice and served the appropriate processes for the hearing, but chose not to make an appearance. And you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with the iOS. 2 persons are reported dead and 18 others injured as the internally displaced persons camp in Kondoga local government area of Borno State is razed by fire. These and more when we come back.
When the kings of African comedy gather under one roof,
there is only one outcome. Then we bring down the roof. Come witness the craziest.
The what again, sorry?
And the funniest.
No, I'm the funniest.
Oh my God! And the baddest of them all. Laughter will scatter your brain well.
Come watch the biggest names in African comedy at Glow Laughter Fest. Basketmouth, Bovi, I Go Die, Sheyi Law, Gordons, Salvador, Osama, Bash, Kenny Black, and many more.
You will never have a bigger gathering of jaw-dropping, head-busting, rib-cracking comedians under one roof.
To win a free ticket, use 3,000 Naira in a month and text LOL and your preferred location to 240.
Glow Laughter Fest.
Laugh go kill you down.
True.
The largest data network. Glow Unlimited.
Hello?
Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Gioni M6, carry out everything on that list. Starting now. Congratulations, you have passed the test.
Gioni M6 with a 5,000 milliampere battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge.
Gioni M6, always in power.
Babe, what is this?
I got this, okay? Just...
Found it. Honey, you can keep him. I've got this.
Do anything to get your Airtel SIM back on if you haven't used it for 30 days or more to enjoy 20 times the recharge value. Recharge 100 Naira and dial *241# to get 2,000 Naira.
50? No, there's a girl.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is to inform the general public, especially the stakeholders who were invited for the 42nd regular meeting of the National Council on Agriculture and Rural Development, NCARD, scheduled to hold at Umuahia, Abia State from 20th to 24th March 2017, that the meeting has been postponed due to unforeseen circumstances. A new date will be communicated at a later date. The ministry regrets any inconveniences these will cause all invited stakeholders and the government of Abia State. Dr. Bukar Hassan, Permanent Secretary, announcer.
Mommy more, where would I be without you? Now you be my best friend, now you be my sister, now you be my mentor, and you are still my mama.
Now you wash, my infant head, everything for you I go do, mama.
Every day should be Mother's Day. Show your mom love in the Peekadoo way. Prepare a special meal with Peak Milk. Peak. Reach for your peak.
What makes a Niger mom powerful?
I encourage my kids to learn new things. And if they get hurt, I rely on the power of my Dettol's One Capful. To fight germs, it's like my own first aid kit.
My family needs protection from germs. I use the power of Dettol's One Capful to disinfect surfaces and clothes to keep them clean and safe from germs.
I trust the power of Dettol's One Capful for bathing. The power of Dettol's One Capful protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Millions of powerful Niger moms use the power of Dettol's One Capful to protect their families. Be a powerful Niger mom with Dettol. Be 100% sure.
The Future Assured project and its components, Get Involved, initiated by the wife of the President, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is not relenting in championing the cause of Nigerian women and children. Its provision of free medical screening, educational support, and the fight against malnutrition, especially in the Northeast, has indeed informed international recognition, partnerships, and awards.
We are very grateful and appreciative for your wonderful gesture you have afforded to us.
With Future Assured, Nigerian women and children are assured of a bright future.
Future is assured when we join hands to promote the health of our women and children. Get involved.
Get involved and support the Future Assured initiative. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
You're still watching NTA Network News, and we begin this segment at the National Assembly, where the Senate Committee on the Federal Capital Territory has collated views of experts on 6 bills, including that which seeks to provide for administration and political structure of area councils for better governance. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu has that report.
5 of the bills upon which the public hearing was conducted were transmitted from the House of Representatives for concurrence by the Senate. The FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello said one of the bills, the FCT Tenancy Agreement Bill, which include regulations for the recovery of premises and rent control, will protect the rights of both landlords and tenants.
The resolve by the National Assembly to enact relevant laws for the effective administration of the Federal Capital Territory is therefore a welcome relief to all of us.
The senators urge members of the public to come up with inputs to enrich the bills.
I will also make sure that we facilitate and fast-track these bills so that we pass the necessary legislative process.
The current bill seeks to enhance the living standards and administrative structure.
The establishment bills are to provide to the already existing agencies the required legal backing.
The committee has resolved to receive additional inputs within the next 6 weeks by the FCT administration on the bill to guide the activities of the FCT area councils. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
The head of service of the Federation, Winfred Oyoita, has inaugurated a client center that will serve as a support mechanism to ensure that the Federal Integrated Staff Housing Program FISH is simple and transparent. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday has details.
The FISH Implementation Committee, in a meeting with key players in the housing sector, deliberated on modalities to further make the process affordable and easier for off-takers, after which they inspected the client center where staff of the FISH Secretariat are to attend to applicants.
Our staff help them fill the form to make a decision as to which of the developers or which category of house they are interested in.
Some of developers that have come to us now, they're over 100. They're ready to put their land, their resources, their money at our disposal.
Civil servants are to key into houses that are commensurate with their own income. And if they have to go outside their own income, they have to use their savings to bridge that.
The Federal Integrated Staff Housing Program, FISH, is part of the present administration's efforts to boost the morale of workers through affordable housing. Adebola, Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Attaining the United Nations 2025 target of open defecation-free requires commitment from all tiers of government. Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu said this when he visited Mashe, local government area of Benue State, for the Rural Sanitation and Hygiene Promotion in Nigeria project. Musibal Danwahab has details.
We use storage here about 2 to
2 or 3 toilets. But now they don't spoil, now only one remain.
That is the typical experience of many villages in Benue and many other states of the Federation. But now, a contrast situation in Mase village where the Rural Sanitation and Hygiene Promotion in Nigeria program has been carried out. In the past, the 4 latrines available did not suffice, and so about 250 people would seek comfort in the bushes around.
Clinic here, at times if you reach there, you will see many of the children. Some are dying.
Then it was clear, graphic explanation in terms of we are harming ourselves by defecating in the open.
Based on their standard, the community of 32 households now have 38 latrines with makeshift hand-washing water system. Victoria, like almost all the children of this village, had fallen victim of unhygienic practices, now knows the importance of sanitation.
After using the toilet, I wash my hands.
I've seen a lot of commitment on the side of the committee. I've seen leadership. We're going to pay a lot of attention to it this year.
Urban Liku in Cross River State is the only local government in the country to have attained ODF. From Mase in Benue State, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is consolidating migration government structure in Nigeria. This was explained at the first geopolitical workshop in the South-South, which took place in Benin, the Edo State capital. Mohammed Abdul Kadri reports that the Federal Commissioner of the Commission, Sadia Umar Farouk, was at the IDP camp in Benin.
With the theme, decentralizing the national migration dialogue process for local participation, which attracted 45 participants, was declared open by Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, represented by the Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu, is articulating common vision for an effective migration governance structure.
In tackling the major aspect of migration, we need to look inward and look at how we can deal with the rural and urban migration.
The sensitization workshop is designed to estray the content and provisions of the national migration policy.
It became imperative to continuously mobilize the state and local government and consolidate the channels of communication.
The workshop brought to the fore the need to urgently address the plight of migrants put at over 200 million people as at 2006. It also emphasized the need to recognize migrants' contributions to the global economy. Meanwhile, the bottom-up approach for sustainable migration management system explains the visit of the Federal Commissioner to the IDP's camp in Benin to know their challenges and to give some consumable and non-consumable items. In Benin, Mohammed Abdel Kadri, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the internally displaced persons camp in Kunduga local government area of Borno State has been burnt by fire. 2 persons are reported dead and 18 others injured. Haman Jabani has details.
The fire incident, which also burned down all the structures at the IDP camp in Kunduga town, including foodstuffs and other valuables of the displaced persons, started from the cooking area in the camp, spreading like wildfire. According to the district head of the area, Zannamasu Yale, 2 people died in the inferno while 18 got injured and are now receiving treatment in hospital. Borno State Deputy Governor Usman Mamman Durkwa, who visited Kunduga town to sympathize with the victims, assured them that government is doing everything possible to locate them back to their localities. Before then, he said, measures will be taken to rebuild the camp as soon as possible and provide them with all their requirements. Governor Ganshetima, he said, has directed him to find an alternative solution to their problems and provide them with relief materials. While distributing tents to the IDPs, the State Deputy Governor, Usman Mamman Durkwa, urged them to separate their cooking places from their houses to avoid further reoccurrence of the incident. In Maiduguri, Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Rather than heaping blames, Nigerians have been admonished to pray to God for continued guidance for their leaders to deliver on their campaign promises. This was the message at a special prayer session observed for President Muhammadu Buhari at Area 1 Mosque in Abuja. Aliu Tukur has details.
The special prayer session was organized by Buhari Friends Organization Network and observed after the Friday prayers with a thankful prostration, presided over by the Chief Imam of the Area 1 Mosque. The prayer session was to thank the Almighty Creator for bringing President Buhari back to the country alive and healthy after his vacation in the United Kingdom.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our country, and we pray may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the country from any dangerous situation, and may Allah make us to be in peace and tranquility.
Organizers of the prayer session urge citizens to support President Buhari's change agenda by contributing positively to nation building.
So because we are Buhari friends, so we must follow his footsteps. Buhari is for everybody, and Buhari Friends Organization is everybody, irrespective of political parties, religion, etc. We are for everybody.
The stability we have in the government, in the country, is enough for every woman to stay in her house and be happy about it.
The prayer session also focused on the peace, unity and development of the country. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
And still on Jumu'ah prayers, Nigerians have been urged to continue to pray for the unity of the country, as crisis will not bring any solution. This was the focus of the Jumu'ah sermon delivered at the Ansaruddin Mosque by its Imam, Dr. Musa Olaufe. Abdullahi Musa Suleja has details.
Dr. Olaufe said the issue of unity should not bore Nigerians and those who have the duty to emphasize to the citizens on its importance. He said patience and tolerance with one another are virtues that people, irrespective of their belief, must imbibe.
We need to be patient, we need to endure, we need to tolerate one another, we need to discuss as one family. And Allah has already sent one into every one of us, that وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنكُمْ خَاصَّةً. We should fear afflictions and trial, because it is not those that started it will survive, even the innocent ones. So we should live together in peace, and we should endure and be more patient in whatever we do. Allah has said that paradise is the reward of whoever can be so patient.
We seem to have some challenges with the audio in that report. We now turn to Lagos. NAFDAC clamps down on food fraud, as we join Demola to bring us details of these and business news. A very good evening to you, Demola.
Good evening to you also, Fumi, and welcome to Lagos. A team from the Investigation and Enforcement Directorate of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has sealed off an outfit belonging to one of the popular ice cream brands. This was during an inspection tour of the facility to ascertain compliance level of regulation associated with such business. Imel Dori reports.
The outlet, located at Alabasuru along Mile 2 Expressway, Lagos, with no proper identification, is a container shop stocked with more than 9 deep refrigerators of ice cream. The shop not only sits on an unhealthy environment, but also under a high-tension electricity distribution network. This operation, according to the team from NAFDAC, is following a tip-off on activities of counterfeiters and other food fraudsters. Some of the finished products were without proper labeling. The outlet has been sealed off until investigations are concluded. The team also visited the Balogun market, where it discovered and seized packing materials for drinks and other fake products.
As we are searching, we stumble on some of these packaging materials, empty bottles, funnel, filtering clothes, corks, for even some of the already registered products, and some fake drinks, alcoholic drinks, as we are seeing being displayed.
This operation is a follow-up to the joint Europol-Interpol operation against International Syndicate, which specializes in food fraud.
The lingering poor performance of students in science subjects in West African Senior School Certificate examination has remained a source of concern to all stakeholders, and particularly the West African Examination Council, WAEC. To this end, the Council at a press briefing in Lagos says it is dedicating a day in its 65th annual Council meeting, scheduled to hold in Abuja, to address some of the issues responsible for the development and to call on stakeholders to take action for a reversal of the trend. Jane Ojuko reports.
For a country to record a meaningful socioeconomic development, the study of science and technology plays a pivotal role. This informed the growing concern among stakeholders on the poor performance of Nigerian students in WAEC examinations. WAEC says it is committed to reversing the trend.
We look at how to revamp the interest of students at secondary school level in sciences.
The 65th Annual Council meeting will also provide a platform to reward best students in West Africa and best performing students in Nigeria. The council members, who are drawn from all the member countries, will also deliberate and ratify decisions on disciplinary actions against students and staff found guilty of examination malpractices, among other issues.
And where there seems to be differences, we harmonize, and we also know how to move forward from there.
The annual council meeting, which is rotated among member countries, is being hosted by Nigeria. In Lagos, Jane Ojuku, NTA News.
And moving on to business, use funds raised from the sale of government debt instruments to develop critical projects with multiplier effects on economic activities in the country. A financial expert tells government. Let's join Amechi Pius on Business News segment with the details.
Hello and nice to have you join us on Business News. The federal government of Nigeria's debt instruments have continued to enjoy impressive patronage within and outside the country. It's an indication that government's strive towards funding the national budget deficit is yielding positive results. As government seeks Senate's approval for $500 million Euro bond, our financial expert Johnson Chukwu says the federal government savings bond issued this week at the nation's capital market recorded significant patronage by local investors.
We've gotten a lot of bids for the federal government savings bond. Simple reason is because the yield about 13% is far above what banks are paying. Banks are paying an average of 3%, at best 5%. Even if you have your money in fixed deposit, they hardly pay as high as 13%. So if you put your money in a federal government debt instrument that you are sure there's no default risk, and they're paying 13%, it's better than what else you can get from any other financial institution in the country. So a lot of people who are aware of it are really bidding for it. We are seeing a lot of interest in it, and we think that interest level will increase further, even since the offer will be made on a monthly basis.
Meanwhile, investors purchased more than 151.38 million shares, valued at 1.85 billion naira in 2,325 deals at the close of trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange today. Market capitalization was 8.87 trillion naira, leaving the all-share index closing at 25,653.16 points. And that's Business News. Thanks for watching. The news continues shortly. Good evening.
You're still watching NTA Network News. We now take a break for some messages, after which the news continues. Stay with us.
So long for this game. There's a problem with this car. What's happening? No. We are not missing the match. Nice. On a try. Oh. Glow can actually borrow me data. So let's get back to watching it. I told you.
Borrow me data from Glow. Dial *321#, even if your account balance is 0. The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
Coca-Cola?
It's happy hour. So, you want a free Coca-Cola, but you have to drink it here.
It's finally here. The most anticipated sports show on live television, featuring great sports icons from ex-internationals to famed journalists and administrators. it doesn't come bigger than the Sports Parliament. Be a part of the biggest sports talk show on television. To help chart a successful path for Nigerian sports, 11 p.m. to midnight on Thursday on the NTA. Sports Parliament, where the eggheads converge.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Many thanks for being there. You're still watching NTA Network News, and we're reaching you live from our studios in Abuja. Direct involvement of Nigerian engineers in the execution of development projects is of necessity because of the importance attached to local input in the nation's infrastructural facilities. Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Bunaya Onu, expressed this view with the leadership of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, who are urging the minister to address issues concerning sourcing of utility products from overseas against the establishment of relevant factories for local manufacture of such products. Science correspondent Kirian Umayo puts it all in perspective.
The Nigerian Society of Engineers showed particular interest in the procurement of speed limiting device by the Federal Road Safety Corps, which is being sourced from Kenya. Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Promotional, used the occasion to present to the engineers locally fabricated and configured speed limiter by the Shedder Science and Technology Complex, SHESCO. The device has 4 gigabyte storage system, GPS, and double printed circuit.
Those who wanted to supply or won the contract to supply, if they could go to Kenya, then it means that when we start producing, the other countries will also come here. And besides, we have the largest market in Africa, and we also have the strongest economy.
President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Otis Anyeji, told the minister that the society wants Nigeria to record huge industrial growth that can guarantee sustainable job creation.
We understand that the retail price of this device is about 40,000 naira. Maybe now it should be more with the career of the naira. But because the FRSC is targeting commercial vehicles complying immediately with the installation of these devices, we estimate that about 1 million of such vehicles will be involved. And on the face of it, this translates to a 40 billion industry.
Nigerian Society of Engineers is known for its unflinching belief in the adoption of indigenous technology. Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, beneficiaries of Skills Acquisition Program under the Women and Youth Empowerment Scheme in Taraba State have expressed readiness to create wealth in jobs. About 300 were presented with machines and equipment. Joseph Saando Otsen reports.
Bulk of the federal allocations to Taraba State is said to be used for the payment of salaries of civil servants, rather than the execution of capital projects. The state government is not happy about this and wants to engage many in entrepreneurship so that they will be self-reliant.
The 360 persons who formed the first batch of the scheme under the Women and Youth Empowerment Program of the state government were selected from 168 electoral wards of the state. They were trained in 10 different skills, including the making of soaps, shoes, traditional attires, hairdressing, food processing, tailoring, welding, carpentry, wood carving, and computer appreciation for a period of 3 months.
The next step now is for me
to go on and start my own factory as a shoemaking personnel.
Governor Darius Ishaku presented start-up packs of machines and equipment such as sewing machines, computers, generators, and other materials to the trainees for free.
I'm of a strong conviction that things that our women and youth can leverage on for self-sustenance are right here at our backyards.
In Jalingo, Joseph Sound O10, NTA News.
You're still watching the NTA Network News. Echoes of the Nigerian Civil War as military governor of defunct Bendel State, Dr. Samuel Ogbemudia, is laid to rest. Details of these and more when we come back.
Out of framers, the hat tippers, the fringe growers, you don't need to hide anymore. Try Dettol Even Tone. It cleans and helps to reduce the appearance of blemishes caused by oil, dirt, and germs, giving your skin a healthy feel for an even better you. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Dettol soap is now also available for 100 Naira only.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC embarks upon everything we do, including water we drink, the food we eat. They are important organs to the development of this country. And everybody should come out and join them and support them and help them to achieve the greatest benefits and success that they need to record.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
More on NTA Network News, and we begin this segment with global tidbits. UN raises alarm on negative impact of foreign aid cuts on its reform efforts, and Kenya set to roll out a drug that can prevent HIV infection by more than 1%. We now join Ogechi Paul for more on global tidbits.
U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says military action against North Korea is an option on the table. Tillerson also backs the deployment of a U.S. missile defense system in South Korea. He states that the policy of strategic patience has ended as the U.S. explores a new range of diplomatic, security, and economic measures. Mr. Tillerson spoke in South Korea, accusing North Korea and China of carrying out nuclear tests that endangers South Korea. The government of Kenya is set to roll out a drug that will be taken by HIV-negative people who are mostly at risk of HIV infection. The drug, known as pre-exposure prophylaxis, will be administered daily by those at high risk of contracting the virus before being made accessible to the rest of the Kenyan population. The measure is a result of a study conducted in Kenya and Uganda, which showed that the drug, if taken once daily, can prevent HIV infection by more than 1%. Kenya will be the second country after South Africa to roll out the program. U.S. President Donald Trump is seeking to reduce his country's contribution to United Nations programs as part of cuts to funding of U.S. diplomacy and foreign aid in his administration's budget proposals. UN Chief Antonio Guterres, in a fierce reaction, says abrupt funding cuts will undermine the impact of long-term reform efforts. The United States spends about $10 billion a year on the United Nations, about 22% of the world's body's total budget, with which it addresses 28% of its peacekeeping budget. That's Global Tidbits. Ogechi Paul, NTA News.
Second Nigerian Air Force combat sports competition set to begin in Jos as UEFA conducts Champion and European League quarterfinal draws. Ayodeji Makinde has details on Sports Update.
The second edition of the Nigerian
Air Force Combat Sports Competition is set to hold in Jos, Plateau State from March 25th to 30th, with athletes from 6 commands expected to compete in 8 sports, including combat relay, combat swimming, and tug of war. Chairman of the organizing committee, Air Commodore Ayodele Dudushola, who addressed the press conference in Abuja, said the competition is aimed at promoting physical fitness and fostering a spirit de corps amongst personnel.
Nigerian Air Force Combat Sport Competition project the service image and endear it to the heart of the general public and the sport community in particular.
Outstanding wrestlers at the just concluded 2017 National Championship in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State will be selected for next month's Africa Championship in Marrakech, Morocco. About 1,000 wrestlers from over 15 states featured in 10 weight categories, each in the Greco-Roman and freestyle. Defending champions Bayelsa State got 191 points to win the 3-day competition, followed by Nigerian Army, while Ondo State came third.
This is the challenge to every state governor in Nigeria. They must develop interest in sporting events that they have comparative advantages and put money in it.
11-time winners and defending champions Real Madrid face familiar foes Bayern Munich